order the City of Oconomowoc Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2026. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
It has, Your Honor.
If you'd please call roll.
Alderman Altman Cloth. Here. Alderman Ellis.
Present.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper. Here. Alderman McConnell is absent. Alderman Youngworth.
Here.
Alderman Rosick.
Here. Great, on to committee business. Let's discuss procedures for adjusting housing ratios. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mayor. Jason Gall has also assisted me in this, so if there's any questions for either Jason or myself, just bring them up. Going back to our last council meeting, we discussed how the ratios where we're at and how we wanted to try and move forward. At that time, council provided the direction that they wanted to look at these on a case-by-case basis. So with that, kind of a separate thing, Cobalt had reached out and worked with Jason and asked him to get the process started. So that was the public notice that I included in the packet so that you'd see that. That item will be on Plan Commission on February 4th, and then it'll be back at the Common Council on February 17th for action. Two completely different things. So now we want to talk about what the process is for adjusting the ratios, because we know that developers will be coming into us, and when we mention to them that they're going to have to do this, they're going to want to know how much time and effort needs to go into that. And I just threw out, what our current ratios are. And then I provided what the steps are right now to go through and make a change. The one issue we have is the ratios are within the comprehensive plan that we have. And any changes to the comprehensive plan needs to have a 30-day notice in the paper prior to the meeting. Then you go through all the steps of everybody you have to notify. Then it would be an ordinance coming to council. And after that was acted on, you got to provide all that information to everybody else. It's not a requirement to have the ratios in the comprehensive plan. So what we're going to be asking to do is that as we go through that process of what will be coming back here on February 17th, is also to take the action to remove the ratios from within the comprehensive plan. And then when any time that they need to be adjusted, we would be bringing an ordinance that would require the two readings to the Common Council for their decision. The other thing I laid out was I looked backwards to see what we had done with Cobalt as we've gone through this process to date, and that's what I put under the additional analysis, what those steps were. Just wanted to get direction from the council. Is this sufficient? Is there something else you'd be looking for? Just so that we could have some idea. So that's the reason for our discussion tonight.
So if we want to open up questions or comments to Mark, Jason's here. We'll start the process. So just jump in
Yeah.
because it's a discussion item.
I just have one initial question. Why were the ratios in the comprehensive plan to begin with? Why did we find
I
that?
like it when you pull out a Jason Gallo question first.
I'm just curious, why did we find that beneficial at that time when it's not necessary by state statute, and it looks like we can pivot more if it's not in the comprehensive plan?
It's a really good question. When the state statute came out for comprehensive plans, there's 9 different elements. One of them is a housing chapter. It gives the communities the flexibility of how you want to shape your own housing chapter, what you want it to say. I think at that time there was a lot of discussion about the housing ratio, so we decided to put hard numbers in there. And looking back at it, was that the smartest thing to do? Probably not. I don't know of any other communities that have specific numbers listed. They might have generalities like maintain a good housing balance or something, but I don't know of any community that has numbers in their comprehensive plan. So that's why we're thinking an ordinance might be a better place. It still has to come back to the Plan Commission to make a recommendation to the council, and it still requires a public hearing. Possibly, it depends on where you put it. If it's put in the zoning ordinance, then it would require a public hearing. If it's an ordinance in a different chapter, it would not require a public hearing. So I don't really know. I mean, I'd have to reflect back and look at some notes, but we've had that comprehensive plan on the books for many years now, but I think it was something that the steering committee at that time felt was something that would be a good idea.
Thank you.
My recollection, Jason, was that at least when we last did the change, there was a ratio in it already. And there had been a ratio in it for a while. I also recollect that when we discussed this last time around, that there was discussion about ratios in other communities. I thought other communities also did ratios. I'm almost certain, I mean, I'd have to look back. The original discussion we had on the original ratio was probably back in like 15 or 14, and even then there was a ratio, but we adjusted it again, so it's been adjusted, at least one creation and then 2 adjustments.
Right, when I was referring to the initial plan got adopted, there was a ratio in there, and then it was adopted, or changed in 2024.
But we changed it prior to that too, I thought. There was another change prior to that too. We went from the owner occupied to the rental, and then we changed the ratio, well, whatever. My recollection was that we discussed ratios in other communities, but I'd have to look back at those old meeting minutes, because I thought New Berlin and a couple of these other cities had some ratio somewhere.
Yeah, I have a slide that I shared with the council, and I listed a bunch of communities that were, you know, in Wisconsin for sure. And they were more, I think, what their current numbers were. Like, you know, we have 70% single family, 65% single family. I don't know if they have a defined policy or a ratio. It was just based on census data of what their population. Now,
I think the point of what you're making is that it's in the comprehensive plan now, and it shouldn't be. Or it makes the situation a little more malleable or workable for us from a timing standpoint. If it's not, you know, that we can have those ratios, or we can have whatever ratios we want, but it's not in the comprehensive plan.
yeah, I think Alderman Rozak made a good point. It's been altered several times. The intent of a comprehensive plan was not to be altered every 6 months, every year. You know, they talk, when the statute was created, it's like a 5-year to 10 years out. It should be a plan that the community adopts. And when we start changing it, you know, every time a new development comes in, that doesn't always reflect good on the city. That's my thought. There's a very rigorous process to amend the comp plan. We have to notify the state and the county and all the surrounding communities. I mean, do they need to be bothered hearing that we're going from 60% to 58% to 57%? That's up to you.
Does it really speed it up though, ultimately? Because if you do 2 readings, that's 2 meetings, that's gonna be an entire month. You still have to do the notice, and if it has to go to the planning commission, you gotta do that meeting first, right? So does it really speed up the process if we don't waive the second reading? Maybe a little bit?
There's maybe a small time savings. It's not, there is some time savings.
How often are we planning on having this discussion? I mean, how many proposed developments that would impact the housing ratio are you aware of in addition to Cobalt?
I've spoken to at least 3 others right now that I know are watching from the sidelines on how this discussion is going.
That want to build apartments? That's all it impacts. I mean, you want to build single family right now, it's no problem.
Right. Last time we were here, I said there's some elderly housing projects that would like to make some expansions on.
So that's one question I had. And the other one is then, whenever we change the zoning, do we change the comp plan? Whenever we change the zoning, do we change the comp plan?
If the zoning is consistent, that's being changed with the comp plan, we don't change the comp plan.
So, because I'm thinking of, you know, when we're making changes, you know, in an area like, say, like Olympia Fields, you know, what was that zoned? How would that have aligned with the comp
Right,
plan?
we had to amend the comp plan for that.
What about for Costco?
We did change the comp plan for
Hackney
that.
House? Hackney. So it's like, we change the comp plan pretty regularly, I guess my point is. So I don't see how this adds so much additional. Your point was we shouldn't be changing all the time. I guess my retort is we're already doing that.
I guess I think of a land use map is different because we don't have crystal ball on that, but the housing ratio is more of a policy.
Yeah.
You're changing a policy versus an applicant coming in and requesting it. That's,
Other questions for Jason or Mark?
So this was just here for discussion direction, until someone comes around, but we'll be looking at it. So if you think of anything, over the next few days, just feel free to reach out and let me know.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item. Discussion and direction for the City Green improvements and the bidding project scope. Mr. Fry,
Well, we're going to start out with Mr. Herzog.
all right?
Felt he could loosen everybody up for me.
All right, thanks. Just coming back around, I wanted to kind of quickly recap where we left off last fall with the Village Green bathrooms, that whole layout there. So in your packets, it's a pretty self-explanatory, is trying to provide some options and areas for restrooms. So I'll kind of walk through that real quick and then allow some discussion or questions. Sorry. So the last time we had met, we were really reviewing a two-story restroom in the back corner of the building of Et Cetera, kind of a private partnership with them. Didn't pan out so much there, so I think the last time we discussed things were like, can we get more of a details in some of these plans with cost and, a better understanding of what it might take. So we spent some time working with some of the local builders in the area to try to develop something, that we could work off of and share. So that's in your packets, and I will kind of walk through some of that. So there's about 4 or 5 different options I want to kind of go through. Very similar, but different locations. Just work with me on this, as there's a lot of variations. Nothing's hard and fast. There's, multiple different layouts that you can certainly do with these buildings, these structures, the park, the amenities, it's endless over here. So just work with me and try to understand that and not get caught up with some of the details, as I'm just trying to describe some of the options. So, we looked at an option with a single story last time, and I kind of want to walk through some of those details. Looking at a linear bathroom setup. That could be in multiple areas. That could be in different areas. There's a nice pocket up on the northeast side of the park that kind of opens up some opportunity. I kind of wanted to explore that. Allows us to maintain the parking lot and utilize some of that space. So just trying to show you graphically how it lays out. And those are various different layouts of that. These are mainly all modular block buildings. For instance, over at the boat launch, that's kind of what these would be describing. Different ideas. So with that, I'm going to kind of walk you through some of those ideas and then end with, one of our products that we've used in another park. So first off, I'll start off with the L-shaped one. This is a bathroom that we had looked at with the Oliver. This is a larger unit. I kind of bulletized some of the pros and cons of each of these. This is the larger unit. Definitely, can handle some of our, smaller events, daily activities. That really emphasizes some of the benefits there. I think we all can understand it's very complicated when it gets dealing with an existing building, staircase, exterior staircase. It really became challenging with trying to separate the two buildings, make it look good, make it safe, and not overdo it with, costs. So in general, this is $700,000-800,000 worth of a building, and, that still would require a new location for trash. So, that would have to be discussed. So easily one of the larger units that would be an option. That could be laid out anywhere. That was just an option that we were exploring last time, so I wanted to express some of the pros and cons there. And then we had talked about, hey, what if we reduce that down and really looked at maybe a smaller unit, linear along the park side, along the staircase. And, you know, for that fact, you could put it in another location of the park. So that, you know, that would be an option. That's basically your 2-bathroom unit. This would give you some options to just, you know, lower the footprint of the building itself. So that did help us out with keeping the trash in the same location. We could just simply look at opening up that section and redoing the trash and, you know, putting that in a better situation. Still struggled with the staircase. I played around with it quite a bit with you know, some AI programs and some architects to try to help us out. But it's a staircase basically coming out of the roof of a building. So, I mean, there would definitely have to be some considerations for that. That became a challenge to make that look good. Really felt like we were forcing it over in that location once we lost the opportunity to work with the building owner there. So just wanted to share that. Another idea would be kind of making it a more rectangular unit, more familiar with some of our other buildings in the area. And, you know, that could have an option. It's the same square footage as if you broke it out and made it into an L shape, smaller than the one on the adjacent corner. So yeah, in your packet, you can kind of see these better, but basically you're looking at a 450 square foot, two bathroom unit. You could assemble it in 2 different, you know, layouts for that. Could add some pergola, make some, you know, nice improvements to it. There's some options there that, you know, might lend some opportunity. So definitely some advantages to that. Really gives us the option to get it away from the building, make it its own standalone building, kind of isolates that, keeps us in a good position to keep the trash of that building and redo that area. But again, that's about a $500,000 building that we'd be looking at. Similarly, you know, once we take this away, it definitely opens up the door of trying to build less of a modular, but more of a precast unit, which really saved us a lot of money up at Rockwell. So Mark reached out. I'll let him talk more about that in a minute, but basically, you know, this idea can be applied or laid out in a variety of different areas there. So just, you know, keep that in mind, and, you know, we can ask some questions there, but this was a unit that Mark had reached out, and I'll let him kind of give you some details on it.
Thanks, Jason. As Jason mentioned, this is the unit that we were patterning. It's the one that's in your plan, so, or I'm sorry, in your memo. Has 3 fixtures per side. That's one of the things that I liked about it. The only drawback on this type of restroom is we have yet to find one that has an option for year-round use. And we had talked to them when we looked at Rockwell, because we were trying to do something up there at that time. And the problem was, we knew that, you know, with the expense we were looking at, that we just didn't have the money to even consider at Rockwell. So we didn't move forward or do anything up there. On this project, when we started out with the potential of a public-private partnership and tying in the building, cleaning that whole area up, I thought it was a really nice plan, but, you know, unfortunately, end of the day, all the finances have to work for both parties, and this one just ended up not doing that. So once we were moving away from not having a public-private partnership, I myself wanted to distance ourselves from the building. If we're not working together, then let's just stay apart. Let's find a place to put the restroom. And so we did look at the north end of the park. And with this restroom, one of the things we can do after talking with the company is that we can do some changes to it when they're manufacturing it. And then once it got here, we would put 2x4s around the outside, defer it out in order to put insulation around the exterior of the building. And then we would then put whatever exterior finish that we want on there, not just the form liner, which on a good day might look like real stone, but not all days. So that's, you know, one of the things with it. So, and then the other part is the roof. It's a concrete roof, so this building's all concrete, and it's just form liners to get the pattern to it. But the roof is supposed to be like a cedar shake, and that's where you get the roof, and you only get a gable. With this location, I would really like that if we were doing a restroom there, I would love to do a hip roof, because with a hip roof, we would get an overhang around all the sides, and by framing it in with the wood and building a wooden truss roof on it, we'd be able to do all the wiring and recess lights underneath all the overhangs so that they're shining straight down. And I thought that was a positive too, because we do hear quite a lot of concerns when we start adding light anywhere near water, because people that, you know, weren't seeing it before can see it all the way across the lake. So I thought that that was one of the advantages. But I had reached out to a local builder, designer, and spoke with them because I wanted them to look at it and say, you know, is this feasible? You know, if we were able to buy this. So, you know, to buy this structure and have it shipped here, it's $185,000. And I'm sitting there, and when we're looking at well over $400,000 for everything else, it's like, there's got to be a way. So then that's when we talked about we can do the exterior, do the roof, handle everything that way, add some heaters into it. And that'll bring in the price right around that 300, 315, 320 range, which I thought was very, very doable. And so we liked that idea, and that's why when we brought this forward, do you have the recommendation in here, Jason, or is that? That's just in there. Okay, yeah. So, you know, we were going through, and we like this option. We think financially it's a very good option. It's a solid restroom, it's solid concrete, so really takes care of a lot of the concerns there. Literally, all we're gonna do is build a shell around it and put a roof on it in order to insulate it. And we can do that. It's not magic or anything like that in order to be able to accomplish this. So we like this. We also know that we can get any roof line that we want. We have the potential of having the lighting down, shining down from underneath all the soffit areas, and we can make it any color, any style we want. If we want brick, we can have a brick ledge built into this and put real brick onto it. It's whatever we want to do. So we got a lot more options, and to me, the final product would actually look better by the lake. So,
Are you gonna put heat there, mechanicals too?
electric.
Just electric?
Yeah, so we'd put 3 electric heaters in, one in each of the restroom areas and then one in the mechanical. We would insulate, like I said, the ceilings around the walls. We'd insulate underneath it to do everything we can because, you know, the insulation is styrofoam, pretty much. And so there's not a whole lot of cost to that. So that's where we would look to do that.
No, this would become a 365.
Correct.
Was the,
Oh, sorry.
I have just 2 questions.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm glad we're talking about this. I think the information is important. Was the public aware of this? Have we gone out and told them that we were going to have this conversation?
It was been noticed with the council.
So
Oh,
were
it was
they-
in the paper. I remember reading it in the paper,
Was it in the paper?
yes.
Okay. And why, did we take the police station off, the old police station off the table? As far as putting the bathrooms there?
So this is an option to that. That option, when it was brought to you, putting something in the garages. One, I felt that the majority of the council was not supportive of putting, if we're gonna do a restroom, they weren't supportive of it there at this time. They would prefer to see something at the park. This actually brings in an option that is cost comparative to that one. That one had an estimated cost of $305,000, and this one's, you know, a range up to $325,000. So they're both 3 fixtures, so they're identical that way. The difference being that this one would be down by where the majority of the people are gonna be.
So the difference there being the 305, I don't remember ever talking about that 305, but that doesn't mean
That
anything.
was in the presentation.
Yeah.
It was on that.
So we're looking at 305 as compared to 325, and the difference there being is 100 feet, whatever. we don't have to add any heat from the police station, the old police station, or do we? Do we have to reconfigure all that?
I thought it had some in it.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that it would, more than likely, we have Modine's down there now. I don't recall on that one right off the bat.
And this is a, they would ship this to us, and then we would make it?
Modify it.
We would modify it? Okay, thank you.
One of the other advantages too with this modular unit, it gives flexibility to the development to the north. So that actual unit, you can strip off what you put on in a few years and actually move that modular unit to another location. Could be another park or another aspect. So it gives that level of flexibility. About a week ago, I reached out to the developer that owns a property to the north and informed them of what those options were to find out if they had any negativity or were not supportive of it, and they were very positive and supportive of it. That was just verbal, not in an email or anything that you can go back to.
So it can
But
be
I made
moved.
sure that that potential development at some point is fully aware with that, gave them the information, they were welcome to come to this meeting as well.
So it can be moved at some point?
Yeah.
So on a Monday, we can have it there, and then on a Wednesday, no, I'm joking.
No, I mean, you waste money because you're gonna have to strip off the stuff you do on the outside.
Yeah, yeah.
But compared to what all these other restrooms cost, I think it gives you the flexibility, because it could be a year or two before something happens to the north, could be 5 or 10 years, you never know.
Yeah, my only concern would be Rockwell, because if they decide to go ahead and put something there, is this gonna have are we gonna have a problem with the bathrooms being there?
Yeah,
No.
it should not be a problem, but you need the flexibility, and that's
Right.
why
Yeah.
the recommendation was made
Their
this way.
their concerns that they raised when we were talking about this project a while back was when we were looking at eliminating the parking lot. And that was one of their concerns, and they wanted to make sure that the drive aisle that was up alongside their building was going to remain in place. And those were the things that they had mentioned in their potential lawsuit against the city. But the parking lot is staying, that drive aisle is staying right where it's at right now. So that has satisfied that. This is sitting on our land. It meets all the setbacks. There's no any other special approvals that we need in order to construct this.
I thought when I looked at it just a second ago that we were taking some of that parking lot away.
No, the
Am I
parking
wrong?
lot stays.
Okay.
We'd have to move a pergola that is shown on the plan that Jason was showing the boxes over top of that. We would slide that to the south and
Okay.
and keep that, or incorporate it somehow into the restroom structure.
Okay.
Then what we try to do is take that facade that needs to be built to insulate it,
Right.
try to create something. One of the positive feedbacks we heard from the community is they want to keep that older nostalgic type of look of that area. And so we work with our architectural commission, we try to come up with a design that you guys would approve. This wouldn't happen for a while, but when that happens, you guys would approve that. And you can try to have something that doesn't look like a industrial bathroom right in, one of our prime spots of the city. So I think that it addresses those issues. I also personally, I think 3 fixtures for men, 3 fixtures for women. I really don't think they're gonna need porta potties all the time for the activities on the city green. So I think that may help that as well. But frankly, time will tell.
What does option 4 look like from overhead? We saw a box, but there's another box, 3B.
So this is 4.
No, I know, but we had those overhead shots of the park
I think
Oh,
Jason's,
that
Oh,
Herzog
the
was
first,
showing
the
us.
first shots.
Where's it
Yeah.
sitting? Was that to scale, Jason?
Well, yeah, and then there's a box. Which one's that? What did, okay.
Oh, that was all of them. Hold on, let me,
Not build all of them.
Of each other, yeah.
Then we can all find one we like.
It's right.
That isn't possible. That one.
So is that 3B or is that 4?
so the rectangular square type structures are all really, really close in size.
so the other thought process is that if you put it in that location and you keep all the parking, so we don't lose any parking, you usually have vehicles there, sometimes you have panel vans there, sometimes you have trucks there. that would probably be the least prohibitive or obstructive in kind of your views of the lake. It's not perfect, but I think my recommendation is probably the best option at this time.
But if we decide to recommend to go out to bid on number 4, we're not really making the decision tonight anyway on specifically where it will be located.
I think it's a good idea if you can make that decision, but there is flexibility. I'll let Mark speak to that.
Yeah, we envision that if we're gonna put one, we wanted it away from the building, reduce as much impact that it has. As the mayor said, over by the parking lot, a lot of times there could be a vehicle or something there, and that's why we like that area. It'll be along the boardwalk, should the boardwalk ever extend through. If it doesn't, you got the walkway that's gonna come down, it's right there in that area. So overall, I think it's the least impactful to the park.
I just thought about this. The one good thing is that then we won't have to move the dumpsters.
Correct. We'd want to rebuild them. We'd like to make that a little nicer.
Right, but it wouldn't be
But we
like,
wouldn't have to move it, which
like,
would
oh my
either
goodness, we got to move it
take
right
up
now.
parking stalls or put it a long ways away from the buildings that are using it.
Right.
But in the big picture, if it goes along this lines of this image, don't move the dumpsters. We still gain parking stalls on North Lake Road or North Main Street, and you don't lose any parking at all in the parking lot. So we're always trying to maximize our parking if possible.
Going back probably 3 years now, that same size unit was positioned where number 11 is right now on that screen. And I wasn't in favor of that. I felt it extended too far out into the green, and I still do. But when I look at option 2, which was the long, thin one, what would that look like where 16 is up there? So running along the side of the building, I hate to introduce another option that we looked at 3 years ago. Sorry for that. But I think the placement makes sense up where you had it. Putting a bathroom right on the lake isn't great, but I know that you guys will treat it well and make it look
Ready.
decent. But in the end, it is a bathroom on a lake, so it can't look that great. But I don't know, that would be one other option, I think, if we're gonna keep it a small footprint, but where 16 is makes sense, but.
Is that design of the rectangular one he's talking about available in this module type that you're
This
talking about?
linear one, I have not seen one. I
Okay,
could-
so
I
it's
could
the
reach out
cinder,
and
back
ask, but-
to the cinder block construction. Okay.
That's why it's a little bit more expensive. It has to go
Yeah.
back to original construction. It was pretty cool because we actually toured the plant that made the one at Rockwell. It was pretty impressive in what they do.
I was just, I like what you said, Matt. And I remember when we talked probably 3 years ago about the square one coming out, like where number 11 is, the concern was coming too far out. And I remember at that time even asking, if we did less stalls, could we do something a little sleeker up against the building? So your positioning for 16, I do really like that. I'll be honest, I'm not in favor of anything that blocks views of the lake. That is, we put that out, put an image of that out, in the paper, social media, whatever. People are gonna be really upset. And that's, what we hear a lot is don't block the views of the lake. Don't block the views of the lake. So I really think we need to explore options that are closer to the building.
What we're hoping to get today is that you can decide on bathrooms, yes or no. If it's yes, which option should we put into, and then hopefully go out to bid. The thought process is that it'll be, depending upon what you select, it will be a bid for the bathroom, it'll be a bid for the whole city green area, and then if you do the modular unit, a third bid would be for the retrofitting to make it a year-round and the facade work. So I strongly recommend council, if you can figure out which one you want and debate and go back and forth, see if we can come to a consensus. There's no perfect place for this thing. And the other option you have still is no bathroom and just do the city green. So that also still is an option. I think that would be unfortunate, because I think everyone, even the people that have been against this, have come to realize that restrooms in that area would really, really be helpful. So I'm going to throw it back out to you guys and see if somebody can kind of lead the charge or everybody jump in. This needs to be a free-for-all, because being polite and raising your hand is not going to work. My hope is we're going to sit here and come up with a decision, or at least an action, because I don't know anything else that the city can do. What I can tell you is when we went out to, you see these prices and price ranges, that was a royal pain in the backside to get that information, and it's still a guesstimate. We truly won't know until we get the bids back.
When do we need to make a decision in order to utilize the TIF money? Like, is there like a drop dead date that we have to make the call on that
think
and
it's
start
in the
spending
fall.
it? Is it September?
September, I thought?
Well, the TIF funds have to be expended within a year after we pass the resolution to close the TIF, which will probably come here in
Impact
March.
fees.
Oh, so we have
So you
another
have a
year to spend
from
it after.
March in order
Spend
to.
it by March of next year. If you guys want to table this and let the next council do it, that's fine with me.
How
'Cause
about,
I'm quite frustrated.
okay, the impact fees, when will those expire?
That's what he's just talking.
They don't.
They don't. Impact fees don't.
Okay,
The
I think-
the TIF has to be, we just have to vote, and it has to be spent by March of 2027. So there's no necessity to do this vote right now today, is what I'm hearing.
No, but we have plenty of work to do, and then we're going to
I
have
know.
to try and time
There's a
in the actual
long-
construction.
There's a long process, you guys, to get this Village Green done. I would strongly recommend you get to a resolution and a direction, because when I've watched all these processes, and then I look at all the events and the different things that happen in the community, and to get the bids out, how many times have we gone out to bid and we had to go back out to bid because the bids were ridiculous? So I think you're better off trying to make a decision to move forward. If you want to not do that, that's completely your choice. You are the policymakers.
I think
I
we
do
need to
wanna-
start with saying, maybe a straw poll, like, who wants the bathrooms? Who thinks we should have the bathrooms? And then we go from there on that part of the discussion.
Well, we already all said that.
All right,
Yeah,
can I
we're-
just say, unless somebody, because I don't think I would like to keep the city hall in the conversation for two reasons. One, it doesn't block the lake. Two, it's the cheapest, and I'd like an opportunity to challenge the cost of the $305,000. I'd like to keep that on the table. I'm not saying I'm advocating for it, but it's the cheapest and it doesn't block the lake.
How do
For
we
those
know it's the
reasons only.
cheapest, though? We don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure.
I don't know that any of these numbers are for sure.
Well, I know that's right, but if he's saying it's the cheapest, we don't know it's the
You're
cheapest.
right, I'm assuming existing
difference-
infrastructure, existing
difference
heating, I
is
mean, you have
that-
to build the bathrooms, but it's
Yeah, the
not.
difference is the options you see right now, city staff, along with myself, have done the footwork to try to give you the best estimates. The other estimate may be spot on, but we don't know what due diligence they have done. But again, do you want bathrooms, yes or no? Do you want in the Village Green, yes or no?
I think we know that the yes, I mean, we are all a yes. We know that we need bathrooms.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to.
Does
village-
anybody disagree with that? Sorry to interrupt.
Just that statement, do we need bathrooms, city bathrooms?
Well-
I mean, I think they'd be nice, I don't know if we need them, so I'd say that.
Okay.
And
I definitely, definitely not on the green, so
Yes.
definitely don't think we need them on the green.
Okay, understood. So let's go around and share our opinion, because that would probably help. With respect to bathrooms, kind of what your thoughts are at this point. So I think, if I'm going to paraphrase what Chaz says, bathrooms would be nice if it works, but he doesn't feel they should be on the city green. Correct?
Do you want me to make a statement? Do
Yeah,
want me
if
to
you
talk
could, that'd be
about
great.
where-
I was just-
Yeah, no, we've gotten a lot of feedback, I think, on both sides of it, which just reinforces to me the lack of consensus on the issue, the concern about the location of the green. I mean, if it was such a great option, I feel like after this much time and this many people weighing in, that we'd have that clarity. So I haven't really seen that. I think we had a really bad experience with how things went down at City Beach. I'm glad that we have the structure we have there, but I think the way it turned out left something to be desired. If I don't have a lot of regrets on decisions I've made over the last, 6 years, but I certainly feel like that was one that I should have put more due diligence and scrutiny on. And I think we have a similar setup here in terms of how important it is to the public, the value of the land, just the emotions that it brings out in people. And so that's another piece, that I'm thinking about as this, this conversation unfolds. I think the location that was brought up tonight is a new location. I mean, that's not something we had discussed previously. That concerns me again. I mean, we're throwing out, we're not including, the City Hall location that has been previously discussed, but we are including the new location that's like along the lake and is kind of a replica of or not a replica, but a similar location that the concession stand is at City Beach. It's right there. I mean, do we know that's not in a floodplain? Maybe you've already checked that now that we've had that experience, but it seems like it's really close to the lake, so that's another concern. We kept talking about how we agree that the green is the best location. That's where the most people are. But I think from my point of view, this is not for events. This is for 365 days a year, 24/7 is what I'm understanding. Maybe it locks at some point, but it's not just for events. It's not just to service events. It's for the whole downtown. So I don't think we have to just necessarily have it at the green. That's why we need to look at the other options. And that's where I'm not convinced that the city has been as creative as we can be in looking at other locations. The ideal option is to have a restroom in the downtown, in a building, in an existing building, not building new structures that are just bathrooms. And that's, I understand that that's not the easy solution, it's not the quickest solution, but, I've made this comment before, I work in downtown. There's concerts on the square, there's farmers markets, there's tons of stuff that's happening in downtown Madison, and there's no city bathroom in that location. So it's hard for me to completely understand why, that whole downtown can somehow accommodate how it's happening, the extra use in events, but ours can't. And if we're having serious issues with the business owners, I mean, has anyone just offered to pay some money for the issues that they're experiencing right now? Because we're gonna continue to deal with it. So how is the city trying to collaborate and support some of the issues that we're already dealing with? So that's what I feel about it.
Got it. Rusty?
As someone who has 2 young daughters, and we go down there all the time, I do absolutely think we need bathrooms. It's really frustrating when we're enjoying ice cream and the little one says, I have to go use the restroom, and then we have to go use one of the local establishments, because I do genuinely feel bad, because that's not what they're there for. I am frustrated also that, I don't think we're ever gonna come to an agreement on where this should be, especially as, it is our job to involve the community, and the more we do that, we're gonna have 50% on one side, 50% on the other, and we can't placate everybody. And so the more we try to do that, the more we're gonna just stand around in this circle. But everything that I've been told, I've heard, I believe, we should not block, with the one by et cetera, the primary comment is you're blocking views of the lake, you're blocking views of the lake. Well, we were blocking about 16 feet from about 20 feet of angle with that one, and that was a big comment. But now we're talking about another 20-foot building smack dab in the middle, where it's gonna block a view from Main Street, Wisconsin Avenue, everything. A freestanding structure in that area, especially one that's kind of looks prefabricated and like a park bathroom, is not what this city wants for the green. I think we will get an enormous amount of pushback on that.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, to me, obviously, the cost is the most important. I think we all agree on that. Second would be not blocking visibility of the lake. So, the option we're looking at right now seems to fit that, although I do like that option I like that square design, but that to me looks like it would probably block more. I'd love to see more details on what it would be to do it in City Hall, just to see what that would look like. I think that's still an option we should take a look at, because it solves a couple of those problems. Yeah, and I don't know if we've exhausted every single possible location, as much as we've been talking about this.
Number 10.
Matt,
I'm
what
teasing.
are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Matt.
Wow, yeah, this has been a debate for a while. I do agree that there probably should be bathrooms downtown. I think Rusty made a really interesting point, which is we talked about some of the other structures blocking pieces of the lake, and then now we're talking about essentially a bigger structure, kind of smack dab, in front of the lake. I understand the concept behind the prefab location, the bigger one. I fully understand and grasp that concept. But I have two big questions. One, I don't want to vote on something that's going to block the views of the lake and put a structure on the lake. I just think that's a mistake. I think we will absolutely get skewered by the public for that. Chaz made a good point as well with regard to the city beach. Buddy's is great. I think it's a really functional facility, but there was a lot of pushback on where it ultimately moved to, and people are complaining that it blocks the views of the lake. And now we're looking at a proposal that's gonna block the views of the lake in what could be one of the coolest parks probably in Waukesha County, if not the state. And to Eric's point, I would like to see a greater detail and some more numbers on the bathroom behind City Hall here. Again, like him, I'm not saying I'm in favor of that, but I would like to see some stronger numbers. If you put a gun to my head tonight and said I have to vote on one, it would probably be the one in front of me, the skinny one. And it would be moved over, like Jennifer said, so we're not screwing with the stairs, we're not messing with that area, push it as close to the building or right on top of the building, make it skinny, make it as unobtrusive as possible, make it look decent and be done with it. Then you have a spot where people are walking, connecting, it's not blocking the view of the lake, that thing's only a few feet wide. That would be the least innocuous. And Mulder said this too. We were looking at a plan there a couple of years ago, basically in the same spot, but huge, way out there with pergolas and all sorts of stuff. We really stepped out. This proposal is much better. So I'd like to see a little bit better cost breakdown on something behind City Hall, because that may be an option anyway that we need to look at in the future if we want other bathrooms on the other part of town. And if I had to pick one today, it would probably be the skinny one. Because it does the least damage to the park and least damage to the views. That's just where I'm at.
Jennifer?
Couple things, I guess. I think the more I think about this and the more like the struggle with it, is you're trying to find the place that's gonna have the highest usage, which I think we kind of know is probably more likely the Village Green area. But then also the best place. And I think unfortunately, the highest usage and the best place are not the same. And at the end of the day, that's the struggle. I remember, what was it, a month or two ago when we were talking about this? We talked about behind City Hall, but then there was that, well, what if City Hall needs to expand? What if we need to use the garage spaces for offices or whatever? Like, let's not, I hope that City Hall never leaves this building, so let's not do anything that would cause us someday to say we're too big for here. Now, there was the proposal from the group, from Laura and I forgot who else, Holly, about over by Oz Plaza. Now, I know that's kind of tucked in a little bit. So again, not the place for the highest usage, but maybe the best place, because we can kind of just tuck it into that little spot. And if we do a good enough job with like signage and letting, we have a pretty involved community. Like, we're pretty lucky that the people are as involved as they are. If we do it right, people will know that the bathroom's there. And again, I know it doesn't relieve the, the people at Roots but maybe that spot over by Oz Plaza will relieve the Village Mall more. It's, I don't know, at the end of the day, we're not gonna find the best place where the highest usage is. So I would be in favor of, again, like Matt said, if you made me vote today, like, you cannot leave here unless we have a plan that's presented to us, I would be in favor of this rectangular, maybe a little bit closer to 16, like Matt Mulder said. Or back over by Oz Plaza.
Those Matts have good ideas.
Kevin?
Yeah, I thought about this, and, well, if we put the, I guess, Plan 4B, is that what it was, then in essence, it would actually block 6 and 7. All right, we'll get that later.
You have to have teenagers to get that one.
Teenagers? Okay, you got it, Phil? Okay, great.
6, 7.
No.
All right. At the end of the day, I really believe that we should really be looking at the police station or Oz Plaza. I am not a, I would never vote for something to be right in the middle or to block the lake in any way, shape, or form. I can't tell you, I'm having a little bit of a flashback about chickens, and I'm hoping we never have to go through that again.
Chickens and bathrooms.
Oof. I appreciate the looking at putting the bathrooms over by number 2 and 5, but I think it's too close to the lake. And we'll have another problem with, once again, the sight vision of the lake, and people will look at those bathrooms more than they will actually the lake. If I had to make a decision tonight, I wouldn't. I would absolutely want more information on what we could do for the police station or over by Oz Plaza. And my rationale for that is it's tucked away, people will know where it is, and it's not messing with any views of the lake.
Any further questions or comments? Oh, I forgot, I missed you guys. Sorry. That's right, I started with Chaz. Karen, sorry about that.
Okay,
My head's
and
spinning.
you
It's
said, you're asking for our opinions, and I appreciate everybody's, I really do. Number one, I think we need the bathrooms. What? Oh,
Oh, I just moved my microphone.
number one, I think we need the bathrooms. I think they need to be on the village green because of everything that's going on there. I've never been a fan of putting them in City Hall because I don't want to jeopardize this beautiful building if we ever have to expand. I like option 4 because it is practical and cost-effective. However, I really wish we could do that same modular concept in a rectangular one that's on the screen right now. I don't mind that rectangular one up against the building there, but I think we'd be short-sighted just putting 2 stalls in each. Another question is, why can't we, like where 3 is, or just up in that northern area, why can't we put something in there? And then it's not blocking the lake view, and it's still very centrally.
Where are you talking about?
Up in that 3 area, number 3 area, the flex space for the beer tent and performances and stuff
Right
like
by
that.
6 and 7.
Or up here?
Yeah, why could we not put something there? And then it's not taking up extra space in the village green, it's not blocking the view, it's very accessible.
Matt?
So I don't think the police garage is a good solution. We don't have people, Gelosi has hidden bathrooms right there. People could sneak in. The owners have never been here saying people are using my bathrooms. Grill 164, we know that a few people once in a while go to the, downtown where the
Joe says you need a key, just so you know.
all right, you got me there. Anyway,
That means you tried to use it.
my point being, the bathrooms we know are being used all the time by the public are in Roots. If you go down on a Saturday morning, you're going to see nobody down by the village, by the police. You're going to see them all up at the green. They're going to be, going to the yoga on the green. They're going to be going to the farmer's market. They're going to be going to the beer garden, the chili fest, whatever. That's where we need bathrooms. To be honest, I don't think if Lou hadn't been pushing this for 6 years on council and talking to everybody the last year about it, I don't even think we'd be considering that as a possible option, because it doesn't make any logical sense to put them behind City Hall where nobody is. It makes 0 sense whatsoever. I think they're needed. I think they should be where we just discussed, kind of by 16 tucked away there. I agree they shouldn't block the lake. People would be furious with that option, I think. I think they're needed. I think we owe it to Roots. I hear you about downtown Madison, but the Capitol is open with bathrooms all over it, and I think that's where people use the public bathrooms there. Anyway, that's what I have to say.
Okay, so we've got a lot of opinions. I can say categorically, I don't think we've made any progress in the last 12 months. with the exception that we've created a very nice city green area. And I think that we're all pretty much in consensus that that's a really good thing to do. We can't, I'm not hearing a strong consensus. When I first put the component together where 16 is to have it alongside there, that did come out too far. If you wanted to put something there, I think that's still a fine place to have it. I would be okay with that. I still think the block building, if you do the facade right, will look really nice. Karen brought up a good idea of you could possibly put that same square building right here. My always concern is I just don't know what's going to happen to the north. And so my suggestion is if you're going to put something like here, definitely do one of the modular units so you have the flexibility to move it. We don't have that option along here. Modular units are going to cost $100,000 to $200,000 less than what we put along here unless we really shrink it down and just have two restroom options. So all the discussions we've had today, all the discussions we've had over many, many months keeps putting us in a circle. And I'm trying to lead you out of that circle and get us into a direction, and I'm struggling because until we decide on what you want to do with the bathrooms, we can't bid anything. And I don't know that any other level of detail is going to make any difference at all. Now, if you want to go into City Hall, that's a difference, and that has to be a group decision, and you're going to have a majority to have us go back into that area. I categorically feel going in City Hall is a wrong move for a bathroom, for a restroom. It may be valuable 10, 15, 20 years from now, but we have an incredibly historic building here, and we have to do a needs assessment. We have to figure out what our growth patterns are. We have to carefully plan that, which could take several years to be able to do it and to do it right. We're not to that stage yet with our growth to do that, to slap a bathroom in a garage bay that is not in the main traffic area. What I really liked was Jennifer's comment about volume of usage and location. I think that was a really nice way to define those areas. My feeling is that our residents, our tourists, they're our customers. And so we should make it as friendly to them and as useful for them as possible. If there was a way to not block any view at all of the lake, we would all be on board and we'd be going forward. The proposal, my recommendation to you, was brought forward because it's the most cost-effective, the most flexible, and it's something that gives us tons of options based on if anything is ever developed to the north. Because frankly, I'd rather see the bathrooms in the development to the north. I'm with Chad. I'd rather see it in an existing building or building there. Right now, we don't have those options. So you have before you the option, and the staff, I can't see any other detail that we can give you to go ahead and try to say, okay, let's try to bid out and figure out how we're going to do something in City Hall. Would be a complete waste of money, only because you have a rough estimate from a very reputable contractor, but we don't know, and you're not going to know until you do the due diligence and do an RFP. We have done our best to give you the best quotes that we can, and I've personally been involved in that because I know what it's like to send out all these things out for bid, and then the bloody things come 10, 20, 100% more. But I think we're to a decision point to see where we can go. And if we break this up and say, here, let's put the bathrooms here, let's do this, and let's go out for a three-part bid, depending upon what you choose, then at least we're to a point of figuring out what we want.
You're saying
Now-
we should provide guidance tonight with a couple options?
I
So
would
it's-
try to come with one option.
Well, that's not what I'm hearing at the council, though.
No, I hear what you're saying. My suggestion is there comes a point in time, you are the elected officials.
Yeah.
You are representing your constituents. You are the ones that are voting. And you are the drivers of this, not me. I'm trying to create options, create opportunity. This is your call. But there comes a point where you have to make a decision in a direction. Or if you say, hey, let's table this for a little longer time, that's your choice too. But
Well,
I
Jennifer, you're- yeah.
get frustrated because we're not going in a direction, and all of the comments we have keep going in a circular. And I believe everybody's passionate, you want to do the right thing, but we also know there is no right answer here. There's an option. And if we can't make an option on the bathrooms, let's at least go ahead and build the village green. Or the city green, and at least get the RFP out for that. Because the only thing but we're trying to do everything in one bundle package to save costs. We've spent a lot of money on the village green design work. We don't want to waste that. Jason has worked his butt off on a different plan to move forward. I'm struggling to try to give you advice because you have to make the decision. I'm very comfortable with moving something alongside on number 16. I'm very comfortable with the modular unit that gives us flexibility. Those are two different price points, guys. You have them in front of you. And if you say, you know what, our general consensus is let's go out and bid this and try to do this, we'll do it. If you say, you know what, we need to have another committee of the whole in 2 weeks, we'll do that. Or your other option is let's wait till the next council on April 8th. That's your other option.
Can I just offer up
Yeah,
some
go
of the
ahead.
support for that? You know, maybe it makes sense to, I don't think that this conversation is a loss. I disagree with that because I think we've narrowed, and that's been my, you know, passion here is just to kind of narrow the project down to where we make the most considerate option here. So what I'm hearing is the linear type bathroom is somewhat favorable in that area of 16. Another option would be maybe a precast unit up in that northwest corner. Yep. So those two options for sure on the green, I think I heard from most.
Let's come back to the second options. I'm hearing grunts and a shaking of heads.
No?
Is this,
Straw poll. Let's go, straw poll, otherwise we're just like guessing here and
Okay.
shaking heads and grunting.
About this. We just spent 30 minutes
Straw
singing
poll.
all
who's,
positions. I didn't
straw
hear a
poll,
single
who's in
person
favor
say
of this
that
location for a modular unit?
Wait.
No.
Sorry, say the question again.
Question is, because I hear what Jason's saying, I just want to get clarity. Straw poll, who would be favor in looking at this area that I'm circling right now as a potential modular portable unit?
No.
So if you're in favor, raise your hand.
Potentially, I am.
One. How many are in favor of a long linear one over here on 16?
All right, now that I lost on that one, I will go on that.
Okay. So I think we've narrowed it down to one option.
And I think,
Well,
You know-
there were 4 or 5 of us at least, though, that said we would like some numbers on behind.
Yep.
Because Jennifer and Mayor, you said she made a good point. I agree. There's this kind of combination of cost
Yep.
and the location and the usage. I would like to just see what the numbers are behind City Hall. It doesn't mean we're going to go with it. I'd like to see some harder numbers there.
So are you looking at on the exterior of City Hall or in the garage?
In one of those garage bays.
Well, you have those
Garage
as
plazas.
302,000.
What's that?
You have that estimate of 302,000.
Yeah, I mean, but you said
But
that
what you're saying is you want the city to do the work and come up with their own estimate.
Yeah, and then
that-
maybe if it's too expensive, it drops off because it's too far away, you know, and it becomes a more obvious decision to go with something linear. I also have heard what Karen said and a couple other people said that, you know, maybe more than 2 stalls, maybe we do a linear there with 3. So we have 2 options, a 2-stall option on both sides and a 3-stall option on both sides. And we try to get some numbers behind, you know,
yeah, I mean, we've got numbers. I actually want to advance this. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd love to like present it a little bit better. And I think it might even help, you know, if this is socially, you know,
Out there.
posted.
yeah, this out there.
So that gives you some feedback as well, right? That takes another level of effort where I'd feel comfortable to, you know, put something out on social media rather than a brown box. So, you know, I'd have to, you know, one of 2 things, we just simply post that idea with the numbers that we have and move forward, and the project is what the project is, or we take some more time to explore more feedback from the community.
Can I
is
just,
what that would-
Jason, I really like your approach. I do want to say one thing. I don't think we should be frustrated that it takes a little while. We've got time. You know, it's taken a while, right? So what?
So if I come back with that
know.
idea, like, yeah, we got a little bit of while on paper, but we all know that this
Right,
takes
I
a
understand.
process. So if I give you like a schedule that would say, hey, I need this in order to use the TIF funds.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that would allow you guys to say, yeah, we're gonna move forward with a project, because we wanna use the TIF, or we don't. We wanna take more time and don't use TIF, and then, you know, the project reduces.
I think
That's-
if that would be a great idea, Jason, if you give us those drop dead dates,
Yep.
because we're making.
I can work with Steve and he can help me,
guesstimations and a s-
you know,
and a-
narrow
and-
up the actual dates. And, you know, I don't know, Mark, if next council meeting or something, if that's another discussion of the whole.
I have a question. The modular unit that you're talking about, would that fit in that Oz Plaza spot, in that kind of that little nook by City Hall?
You would, if you went with a structure like that, I would probably, just a gut feeling, it would probably be more the size of the one at Rockwell.
I mean, even if it
That
was
might not
just
even
one or
fit.
two stalls, because I do like your thoughts, Mayor, about, you know, if we were to ever get something
I
to
just
the
don't have
north.
Santa, well, I'd
and
have
if
to
we were to
tap
get
in
something-
somehow to City Hall, and, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
that's
not
a
saying
way,
we have to tap into City Hall at all. I mean, well, we would have to somehow.
I don't, yeah, there's no other way to serve
But
it.
what the mayor was saying about, you know, if we were to ever get some development to the north of Village Green, and we had a modular unit and we needed it somewhere else, we can always move it. So at least, you know,
Yeah,
I like your thinking on that. I would just be curious if that little spot of land would be big enough for a
No,
modular unit.
these you can.
Because
Not-
also you said the
well-
cost is better too on those.
yeah. It'd be a much smaller unit.
I mean, that's
So
fine. I
let's
don't
kind
think
of see if we
2
can
or
bring
3
this.
stalls per men's, women, I think, we've said before 1,000 times, the bigger events, we're going to have to bring in porta-johns.
Yes.
So,
And I think we all agree to that.
yeah, we're not trying to avoid that, and daily usage, you know, 2 per is probably plenty.
Okay, just
So if-
quick
what would-
recap, so I
yeah,
understand and
please.
I'm clear. We'll take this linear idea, 2 and 3 unit in 16, plus, I don't know, I'll see what other options I can look at for City Hall, and see if that is something worth moving forward. And then lastly, kind of a, you know, a cycle inside the year of what might lay out.
I think the idea of a deadline and a timeline, because of using those funds, would really help. What I can just say to council, nothing in this city goes as planned. Nothing in this city goes along the true timelines. And so what I would suggest at some point in time, once we have Jason's timeline, then we work backwards off of that, because you need to have some flexibility. Think about the number of bids we had to go out on Rockwell Park because it kept coming in crazy. Think about the changes we had to make because we couldn't afford it. So if everything went really well, then it's really not that big a deal. You could make this decision in several months and we'd be fine. But the bid process, the open packet process, who's going to bid it, then we have to get involved with the different events and how do we schedule this? Because it will, no matter what time of the year, it's going to have a negative effect during the construction. But the end result is worth that pain for a period of time. But we have to make sure that we inform the community, we don't have everybody mad at us, all of those things. So I think it was a good discussion, appreciate from everybody. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, just take a second. Does anybody need a break before? Yeah, I guess. Okay. We'll take a 5-minute break and then start the common council meeting. To order the City of Oconomowoc Common Council meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
It has, Your Honor.
If you would please, all please rise. And Mr. Bickler, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance along with your beautiful wife? Thank you. Would you please call roll?
Alderman Altman Cloth? Alderman Ellis? Here. Alderman Spiegelberg? Here. Alderman Mulder? Here. Alderman Shell Pepper?
Here.
Alderman McConnell?
Here.
Alderman Youngworth?
Here.
Alderman Rosick?
We have two public hearings this evening. The first one, public hearing on the CUP mini storage text amendment. The purpose of the hearing is to hear public comment for the amendment to section 17.108 of the conditional use permit standards of the city zoning ordinance. The specific request is to amend the various subsections with subsection 13 mini storage, including the standards listed in A, B, C, D, F, and G. The proposed ordinance would allow outdoor storage only in I, the industrial zoning district, require new storage buildings to conform with the 50-foot setback, no fencing requirement unless the facility has outdoor storage, requires 40 feet of vehicle on-site stacking only for facilities with fenced storage areas. Outdoor storage plans are required required only when there is a proposed outdoor storage. The truck turning radius plans are only required for new buildings. The proposed text amendment removes existing standards for the facilities that are currently in existing do not have outdoor storage. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you, Mayor. For the public, as well as the council members that aren't aware, there are certain uses that are called conditional uses and then certain that are permitted by right. The conditional uses have standards that they must comply with. There was a court case that required all communities to adopt standards for conditional uses. So back in 2019, I guess it's going on 7 years now, the city created standards. We took a guess, it was myself, and we had some assistance from city administrator as well as the city attorney. We took a stab at creating standards for all of the uses. At that time, we got rid of a lot of conditional uses, like restaurants. They didn't need to be a conditional use. We made them permitted by right. But we chose the ones that were the most intense, and we kept those as conditional uses, and then we created standards, and it said, you guys have to create these standards, adopt them, and then the applicant will have to meet them. When we decided to keep mini storage as a conditional use, we were envisioning mini storage looking like this. The outside access with the overhead doors, the fenced compound up near the road, the stacking distance. You press a code on a pad, the gate opens and you go in. Usually they were unmanned. This is what I was envisioning. And mini storage has evolved. I'm not saying in the past 7 years, it probably was doing this before that, but now they're taking large buildings and they're converting them into storage. This building is being asked to be converted into mini storage, and the standards that we created in 2019 don't work. We said that, like, for example, all compounds had to be fenced because we were thinking about this. This doesn't have to be fenced. The only access door, it would be here and then the overhead doors in the back. So the applicants came to me and I said, you cannot do mini storage based on the standards in this building. And they said, can we amend the standards? And I said, well, that takes action. It's a text amendment. We noticed it in the paper. It's on our website, and we're holding a hearing tonight. So the Plan Commission did review this. They recommended it. They had some changes. But basically, they made it changed that if there's outdoor access, then they have to have it fenced, and that's a security issue. So then if it's fenced, meaning, more like this kind, they have to do a bunch of things. They have to have access, a locked gate, 40 feet of vehicle stacking from the road. They should submit an exterior storage plan for all fenced facilities to provide a truck turning radius diagram. There would be certain minimum separation buildings of 30 feet between new buildings. So you get it. So those are the text amendments. If this is approved, we have a public hearing following this. Someone would like to convert this into storage. They need this text amendment to go on. But again, really the text amendment is primarily because of these types of units is what we were considering in 2019. Now they're evolving to be indoor units that are unfenced, and they're not providing additional buildings. They don't have the separation. Some of these down here would have multiple buildings. So the text amendment is as proposed. It did go through the Plan Commission with a positive recommendation for this evening.
Thank you. At this time, public hearing is open on this item. Do we have anyone in the audience, in the public, would like to comment on this CUP for the mini storage text amendment? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to our next public hearing. The next public hearing is extra space storage for the CUP. The purpose of the hearing is to hear public comment for a conditional use permit to operate extra space storage at 1190 Corporate Center Drive located in the Oconomowoc Corporate Center. Per the table of allowable uses in section 17.106, the Oconomowoc zoning code, the mini storage requires a conditional use to permit in the business park zoning district. If approved, the applicant will be allowed to use both floors of the 40,000 plus square foot existing building for renting a variety of individually sized climate and access controlled storage units. No outdoor storage. Mr. Gallo.
So this is the request for the conditional use permit. We don't have a lot of conditional uses because we did remove a bunch in 2019, but the location of this one is right on Corporate Center Drive, 1190. I did some markers here, the Town Place Suites, Dairy Queen, Chili's, Rogers, Pro Healthcare. This is kind of an area where it's not all businesses, it is the public welcoming area of the city right there. So I just wanted to kind of show you the surrounding context of the area. This is the building. It was the Silgan Technology Center. I went out there, took some pictures. It is currently zoned business park. It's right where the star is. You can see it's shown as the purple color. Business park is the current zoning, and in the business park zoning, mini storage is an allowed use, indoor storage, but it does require conditional use. Silgan gave property owner permission to Greg Prosson to represent this conditional use permit. An application was made. This is the site. I think it's important for you to understand the site. There's a lot of parking for smaller, vehicles, cars, and then the truck radius, turning radius, and overhead doors is on the north side. The pictures I took out there, it's a little dark, but they have 2 overhead doors. And then this is part of the dumpster enclosure right there, so the overhead door, this is all on that one side. The corporate park has an association. They can't really do much to it. They look at use, signage, building changes. So they did give approval for this back on December 8th, but they said contingent upon no changes to the current trash location, no changes to the exterior lighting, no outdoor storage, including trash vehicles, trailers, campers, no exterior fencing. Full-time personnel must be provided, and signage is subject to approval. That was by Scott Johnson, the representative. So the standards we have, no outdoor storage other than vehicles and RVs. They are not proposing any outdoor storage. Buildings shall have a minimum of 50-foot setback. They're not seeking to change the requirements. All these buildings meet the existing building meets the setbacks. Facilities shall be fenced through a locked gate. They're asking to change that. There shall be a minimum of 40 feet of stacking distance. They're asking to change that, that existing buildings do not need to conform with stacking. Security cameras will be installed per the police department. That's in their conditional use. The applicant shall submit an exterior storage plan, and I'm saying that no exterior storage is being proposed, so they conform with that. G, they shall provide a truck turning radius. The Plan Commission felt it was still important because if it's a conditional use, they should be able to have trucks come in. So they did provide a truck turning radius since then. Provide a minimum of 30 feet of distance between buildings. They're asking to change that and say if only on new buildings being proposed, all drives shall be paved. They'd conform to that. Landscaping, there's fully landscaping out there. The applicant is seeking a change requiring that existing buildings do not need to conform and then comply with all other requirements. So this is the truck turning diagram. The Plan Commission asked them to provide this. They have no problem. This is for the largest size semi-truck. They would be coming in this way, pulling in, backing in here, and then exiting right out. So if a large semi can get in there, that's 53-foot trailer, then any other smaller vehicle should be able to make it as well. Conditional use permit was drafted. The Plan Commission didn't make a recommendation on this. Everything is in here regarding the plans, their hours, their security cameras, outdoor storage is not allowed. So the Plan Commission did make a recommendation to approve.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments at this time? Does anybody in the audience have any comments with regard to this public hearing? Yes, sir. If you'd please come up and identify yourself to the council and share your thoughts.
Hi, my name is Greg Prosson. I am the applicant for this project, 893 Golden View Court in Oconomowoc. As the applicant, we certainly agree with all the conditions on the conditional use language change, and we agree and will comply with all the conditional uses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, council will move on. I'd like to entertain a motion to the approval of minutes for January 6, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have any comments or suggestions from citizens today? We have blue cards Mr. Gallo will provide if you want to make any comment on any topic to the council this evening. Seeing no comments, I'd like to entertain a motion for consent agenda items 7A and B.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On to committee reports. We'll start off with finance. Consider act on resolution 26-R3332 to amend the audit agreement. Mr. Hatton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, in your packet, you have a memo summarizing our current audit agreement. We just extended in October to extend the existing agreement for the 2 option years for 25 and 2026. The request tonight is asking to alter that in 2 respects. One, it's looking to extend, first, I'll start with the change in scope. It's looking to change the scope where the auditors will add additional work to their engagement. That work is taking on the preparation of the financial statements and the comprehensive annual report. This is work we used to do in-house when we had staff that had that audit background and CPA that did that part and parcel as their role. So change in scope is one thing that the new proposal is asking to outsource as we've changed staffing and no longer have those skill sets and experience in-house. The second piece is pricing. So in order to accept that additional work, they've added, quoted us a price to take on that work. It is still less than what it was costing us to do internally. So outsourcing this is a financial savings to the city. And it requires quite a bit of work for them to get their tool set and process in place up front. It's work they haven't done before. It's stuff that we had done internally. That front-end investment in time and effort to build out that capability and tool set, they're spreading that cost to make it easier for the city over the course of a 5-year agreement. So it's smoothing the cost. The difference would be from the old existing agreement without the additional scope would have been 46.5. This is adding 16.5 to the old agreement. We did budget, we anticipated and did add in the 26 budget 5,000, not knowing, pending the quote. We did get the quote, it's more. So it's a one-time step up of 16.5. And then it would otherwise maintain the same annual increase as the previous agreement would have. So hopefully that addressed any questions you may have and give you a good flavor of the request. But the increase of that 16.5, it's 11.5 over what the original 26 budget had contemplated. That will be a budget adjustment, and it will require a supermajority of the vote.
Questions or comments from council? I know you worked on this in the Finance Committee. Any additional questions for Mr. Hatton for the public?
And sorry, I would also like to recognize our audit partner is here, Paul Franz, who's represented and served the city since we began our engagement.
You
with
want to
Baker
raise your
Tilly.
hand, Paul, so everybody
Paul,
knows?
thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you,
coming.
Paul, for being here.
Yeah. Yes, Alderman Spiegelberg.
And I think it should be noted that a community our size generally does not have the personnel to do these financials before the audit. So this is pretty much standard for other municipalities. And yet, as we're looking at these numbers, there is a benefit, a cost savings to us as well, so.
I like that. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Any further questions or comments?
Are we going to waive the first reading? The second
There's,
reading?
pardon me?
It's a resolution.
Oh, I looked at the wrong one, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Any questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
We're on to Plan Commission items. Please note the first one up is the first reading. You have the option to waive or not waive the second reading. First up is consider act on ordinance 26-01114, amending section 17.10813 as it relates to the conditional use permit for mini storage use. It's the first reading. I think, Jason, thank you for your job in the public hearing. I'd like to open it up to any questions or comments to the council. Alderman Rozak.
Jason, thanks. The only thing I was thinking of as I was looking at this proposal for the change, it's unfortunate that a nice business park building like that isn't moving forward as a business park building. But then, and you answered my question, I had written it down, the storage is allowed in that zoning anyway, so if they didn't put it in the nice building, they could rip the building down and build mini
Ugly
storage.
one. An
That would
ugly
look
one.
ugly and, maybe not look as nice. So, while it's unfortunate, as I sit here, drive that area a lot, that building is not being used as an office building anymore, I think it's better that it stays up and doesn't turn into picture two. So,
I think it's nice too. I think the sad part is losing labor and work and jobs. That's not a negative towards the applicant, it's
No.
just a reality.
No.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Well, and I was just curious about like the assessed value of that property. Does it change much based on what it was versus it becoming because that's ultimately what impacts the city financially the most. I mean, I agree, the labor and all that from a broader perspective, but just the dollars and cents wise, I didn't know if it's any different or not.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really answer that question. I think assessments, there's a lot of variables that they took, and if the building maintains good maintenance practice and, you know, it'll be assessed at similar value.
Yeah, okay.
Rusty?
Maybe I missed it in some of the reading, but do we still have architectural oversight on the outside of the building? Because I do think it'd be nice for us to take some of these vacant buildings and at least put something in there. But as long as we're not fundamentally changing how the outside looks.
This application, they said they would be making no exterior changes, other than signage.
And this wouldn't set precedence to any other particular building that would be potentially doing this?
No.
Okay. I'm-
You have to review each conditional use on its own merit, so this is, we're still on the text amendment right now is the first item.
So we're on the text amendment. I'd like to entertain a motion. You have the option to waive the second reading.
So moved. I'd like to waive the second reading.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Oatman Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
Alderman Mulder? Alderman Shell Pepper?
Aye.
Alderman McConnell?
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth?
Aye.
Alderman Rosick?
Aye.
And to consider act on the conditional use permit for the extra space storage to occupy the existing 40,835 square foot building located at 1190 Corporate Center Drive.
I do agree with the comments that were made about this building. It's a beautiful looking building. I'm glad to see it staying. Unfortunately, I think the employees and the jobs will not be there, but it is an allowed use in the business park zoning. That was a policy that the Common Council decided when we went through all the conditional uses. You know, this is the new trend, is to utilize existing buildings. It's better than sitting there vacant and becoming blighted. So I think it is a, you know, it's a good reuse of that building. So the Plan Commission did feel that it's in the best interest of the city, and they did make a recommendation for the permit that's before you in your packet.
Questions or comments for Mr. Gallo? Alderman Rozak.
One last, well, two. Yeah, I like the use of it. It keeps the building looking nice and, you know, creates some income for the area instead of just ripping it down. The only question I had when you walked through the CUP items, it said there will be no outdoor storage, but it says RVs are allowed without the outdoor storage. Will there be RVs stored outside?
You wanna, for the record, you want to come up and,
I think the business park disallowed it.
No, that's not, the language was interesting, the way it said other, it said you need an outdoor storage plan other than for RVs and vehicles.
I think Greg Preston, again, the applicant.
Yeah.
I think that language came from the business park.
Okay.
And we have no intention to do any outdoor storage of any kind. So the
Okay.
business park, I think, said you can do RV storage there. We have no intention
Okay,
to do that.
gotcha. Perfect. That's all
They
I
have their
needed.
kind
Thank
of
you.
own HOA in a sense, so. Like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved, Rozak.
Second, Ellis?
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Oatman Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper?
Aye.
Alderman McConnell?
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth?
Aye.
Alderman Rosick?
Aye.
Under our next item, consider act on the preliminary plat for Prairie Creek Ridge Addition Number 11, located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Brown Street and County Trunk K. Mr. Gallo.
thank you. We have a preliminary plat for a single-family residential subdivision. It's on the southwest corner here of Brown Street and Highway K. You can see it's directly north of St. Matthew's Church. And this is all Prairie Creek Ridge all around it here. And this is our park. There will be no direct access because these are two county trunk highways. There will be a roadway here that continues down. So the traffic from this subdivision will not be exiting onto K directly from this phase. They could get on this road here and go out to K, and they'll be not directed to Brown Street. They would be going this way. We're going to talk a little bit about this road extension right here. And I just wanted you to see geographically, people from the subdivision could go through this road if extended and then get out to Highway P. And I say if because that is a requirement that I'm asking all of you to agree with. This is a controlled intersection right here. So back in 2025, we created one PD, Plan Development Number 1 of 25, and it was for this area. There was an ordinance that was adopted in May of 2025, and I didn't give the whole ordinance here, but I gave you the exemptions that you granted and the public benefits that you granted. The exemptions were basically reduced setbacks and smaller lot widths. You went down to 65 feet, and the lot widths went down to 7.5 feet. And the public benefits were that extension of the Schumacher, the developers to contribute to the construction costs of the Schumacher Street at the current termination point in a northerly direction to connect to Periwinkle Pass. Details will be detailed out in the developer's agreement. That's on the agenda tonight. And then sidewalks and connections, because of the Northeast Regional Park, we wanted connectivity from this subdivision to the park. So this is that extension. They did reach an agreement, and I know Jason Herzog will talk about that more, the Public Works, but there's no cost to the city. That was part of their deal, is the developer make the contribution, that's the public benefit. This is the preliminary plat. Little challenging to read this, but I wanted to show you the whole thing. It has no direct access here or here. It has some stormwater facilities, and there's going to be no direct access to Periwinkle other than the roads themselves. I zoomed in on just a general area just to give you a feel for these lots, because you did reduce the lots down to 65 feet in width. That was part of the PD. That's not normal. These lots, some of them got down as small as 8,450 square feet. They're as large as 19,600, which is just a shy under a half acre. And the average is around the 10,600. So there's a range, but this is what a 65, 66 foot wide lot does with a 7.5 foot. So they're very comfortable that they'll be able to sell these lots. Plan Commission did recommend approval of the preliminary plat. It conforms with the general development plan that was approved as part of that PD overlay.
Questions or comments for Mr. Gallo? We also have the applicants here if you'd like to talk to them. Alderman Ellis.
Okay, my only concern is fire and police. I don't see where, if there's a fire in the, I guess that would be the northeast corner over there, they're not gonna be able to get there so quickly.
Well, whenever we look at subdivisions, we always make sure that they have two access points in and out. If there, in case there's a traffic accident, some type of a blockage here, there's always gonna be a secondary access to get in. So, you know, all of these lots will have at least two access points to get into the subdivision. So yes, they're not coming directly from K or P, but, you know, just like any other subdivision, they'll have access to get in. Did that answer your question?
Kinda, sorta. I'm just very concerned about that, because if there's a, like you said, if there's an accident, there's another way in which they can get out, but if both are, then there's no way. And there should be some sort of an emergency road where only the police and fire can get to be able to get in.
Well, these are reviewed by police and fire.
Okay.
This layout has been
Okay,
reviewed.
can I'd like to hear it. I know you can't speak for fire, I understand that, but.
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay.
No, we actually both reviewed it as well. We're comfortable with those two access points and getting to that area. Another road, even, you know, a emergency road or access onto those two streets, P and K, it would be really hard, the way the traffic moves on those two roads. So we both reviewed it, we checked, and I know fire reviewed their response times and fell within those as well.
Other question, Alderman Mulder.
Yeah, I guess just a comment. I think this is where the apartment building was that we didn't approve. And I really like this. I'm glad that we did this. I think it's a lot of, while we'll see how affordable these are. They're not gonna be $300,000 homes. They're still gonna be very nice homes, but it's a great location where I think younger families might be able to start. It's right by the school. It's gonna be by a great park. So I think it's a great place, kind of what will forever be the northeast corner of the city, I guess. Now we'll have a very nice, tight neighborhood with lots of affordable housing, so I'm glad for that. Thanks, Mike.
Other comments, Alderman Shellpepper.
Yeah, I don't have concerns with what we're putting forward. This is, we've been through this, support that. Like Mulder said, we were going to do the apartments, glad we have the single-family homes there. I think what this speaks to, though, is the lack of information the council typically has when it's making decisions on the new development it's bringing in the city. I hope our new mayor will be able to, I don't know when the right point to do this would be, if it's the developer's agreement or the plot map, but be able to provide us with an estimate as to how much the police service is gonna cost for these, 88 homes on average. How many calls, per home does a single-family home, receive in a year, and what is that gonna mean for the city's bottom line? The same for the fire department. What does it mean for the fire department's bottom line? When are we gonna, I know the roads are a part of the development agreement, but eventually the city will be responsible for that road. How soon do we intend on having to replace that road? And then how much in property tax does this yield for the city? What's the benefit too? So that
So
the
is that
city-
what you want for every new development?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that is an important, just like we have a checklist, from the city and the fire department and everything else. I really feel like that's a piece of information that I've been saying for the last 6 years, to some extent, that's been missing, that we're not fully always informed about. I don't have the broader cost implications of this for the city in terms of services, and I also don't really know what it means either, financially for the bottom line of property taxes. And I just hope that the next, mayor, whoever that is, would take that
Well, we
feedback
will
into
be upgrading the
consideration. And
position.
that's, I understand it's not always easy. Maybe it's not completely accurate, but I do think we need to have a better picture of what we're, approving.
P&L on a new development.
So, but of course, I support this, so.
Any other questions or comments?
I don't have a motion.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna
I'd
say
like to
motion to
entertain a
approve.
motion first.
Second.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Great, let's move on to our next item. Consider act on approving the developer's agreement for Prairie Creek Ridge Phase 11.
Jason, before you jump, Mayor, I just wanted to
Yeah.
throw something out. Jason Gallo had mentioned it during the preliminary plat discussion about the extension of Schumacher. And I just want to thank, Mike Bickler, Mike Carrick, and then also the church, the congregation at St. Matthew's, and Hans Zietlow, who, they were originally working with the city, looking to potentially being assessed for it. We saw the cost come in a little bit lower. We said, can you folks work together, make it so that the city's not even involved in anything with this? And they were able to get that done. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. As Jason mentioned, it's something that's in the developer's agreement, but because it's their private deal between them, our agreement is that the developer is responsible for all the public streets. So when you don't see Schumacher specifically mentioned, that's the reason why.
Okay.
The developer is responsible. That's what we're doing in the developer's agreement. And then they have their deal with the church, how they're going to do that. I just wanted to make that clear, but once again, to say thank you to everybody that worked hard on this.
Very much so.
Good.
Mr. Herzog,
Anything else?
I'm good now.
took away his
want-
thunder.
And just have him come up, right? What do you-
I don't even,
Yeah.
you want to read it?
I'll do it. Wouldn't be my first one.
Speaking of the
They've been
first,
through this 10 times before.
speaking of
This
this
is number
first one.
11. It's the same.
Thanks, Stan, for pointing that out. As I did want to kind of bring this all in a circle, as, we talk about developments all the time. We talk about the details of them. For sure, this is a developer's agreement that's, repetitive. They address a lot of the most current standards, so I guess that's the only confirmation I can give to you, is that we spent a considerable amount of time with his design team and his engineers to get it up to the city standards, and that's what's inside the developer's agreement. But I left this up, you know, Jason did a nice job presenting this, the smaller addition 11 here. So yes, we've done this 10 other times, and I just kind of want to wrap this whole subdivision up, as it is the largest single-family subdivision in the city of Oconomowoc. In fact, I'm going to spew a few numbers, so bear with me, because I think they're pretty important as just building context and perspective of, you know, other projects that we go throughout the city. So, I mean, in general, this area is 350 acres. A lot of it was some of the school, the church, the Northeast Park. It basically had about 250 acres that were going to be developed. That equated out to 564 single-family homes. That equated out to 64 condo units, 0 apartments. Roughly $350 to $400 million worth of value to the city. Mike gave me this number. I had our first developers agreement, 2012 or 2014, and Mike said he had allowed, you know, the preliminary work, drill testing, layouts back in 2012, 14 years worth, to get 564 homes eventually built here. Couple of numbers also. Of the 564, obviously 88 of them are just being presented here, but 391 of them, we either have an active permit for building or it is built. So if you take out the 88, that's over 80% of the subdivision is under construction or already built. I think that's a phenomenal number. And some of the most, you know, notable things here, he did this with 0 TIF money. So I thought that was a, you know, commendable piece. Mike's been a great developer to work with. His team, his engineering team, his construction guys. But I mean, we've been able to, you know, get through some of that. And I really appreciated working with Mike. I had asked him to you know, he always shows up to these things. And I thought it was noteworthy for some of these as we are considering, you know, some of the infancies of the very development. And some of you remember, may have been on council when this project first was presented. And now, you know, now we're discussing the last addition, unless you can find some new land. But, so in general, that is the nut cap of the subdivision over there. It is one of the top 5. We own 3 of the top 5 fastest growing subdivisions in the state of Wisconsin. This is one of them. So we set another record for our building permits this year as we topped last year's. So we were over 200 building permits for residential units. So I'll end with that unless you guys have other questions. I just asked Mike, he just has a quick message too.
Were you going to make a statement, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Can I
ahead.
ask a quick question about, was it Snyder? Is that the road, or what's the road that you said
Schumacher.
was private? Schumacher?
There is a Schneider, but not here.
Yeah, so that's going to be a private road, you said?
Nope.
It's not going to be a private road?
The developer and the church have a private agreement between them for the cost of constructing and extending that. It will be dedicated to the city and it will be
As a
city
public
street.
road.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no different.
Yep, sorry, I misheard that. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Sorry to interrupt, no.
Mike?
Can someone else ask a question?
Good evening.
You had dark hair when you started this.
Pardon me?
You had dark hair when you started this.
Yeah, well, having to work with you, Mark, that shot that.
I understand. I worked with you too.
Well, between you and Stan, I tell you, you guys, anyhow, I'd like to thank everybody in the city, honestly. This has been the largest thing I've ever done, the largest thing Mike Carrick's ever done. We are proud of the fact that, like Jason said, we did it without any TIF. Actually, while this is addition 11, it's our 12th plat. Our first plat wasn't an addition. So we've done 12 developers agreements, 12 plats. We're lucky that we got this piece. when we did and annexed it into the city. And I think it's worked out very, very well. I'd like to, for those that maybe aren't aware, I'm sure most everyone here is, but there's 2 streets in here that are named after mayors, Whalen and Schumacher, Marlene Schumacher and Floss Whalen. And the Northeast Park doesn't ring well, really. I'd like to see the city consider naming that Mayor's Park. And if they do, Mike Carrick and I will pay for a plaque that can be added to for every time there's a new mayor in the city of Oconomowoc. Their name should go on that plaque in the pavilion. And I think that would be a fitting tribute to all the mayors that have served this city over the years. And if the city would consider that, it's just a thought that I brought up. I wanted to say thank you to not only the city staff here in the city hall, but you also have a fine utility staff, and they're very, very nice to work with. I've done developments in many, many different communities, and this is probably one of the best. I'll tell you that for sure. You got a great staff.
We're lucky to have you and your family and your business here in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can't clap for a developer, okay? Don't do it.
So I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Although, real quick, to what Stan just said, I think you could make the argument, though, that, Mike, you and your partner are not just developers. You guys are, you're members of our community. And that really shows. I'll make a motion.
Second?
Any further questions or comments on the developers agreement? Call roll, please.
Alderman Altman-Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper?
Aye.
Alderman McConnell?
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth?
Aye.
Alderman Rosick?
Aye.
Great. We have no staff reports tonight, so do we have any reports or comments from the aldermen? Alderman Spiegelberg.
So next up is Chili Fest, one of our premier events here. Shout out to the Chamber of Commerce, Kelly, Sarah, and Olivia for all their hard work in pulling this off. Within 48 hours of the tickets going on sale, they were sold out. However, they've just released, did you hear? They've released 50 more tickets that will be on sale starting at 10 o'clock the day of Chili Fest down by Chamber. So I don't want to see what that fight's going to look like for those last 50 tickets. But anyway, coming out to Chili Fest.
Any other comments from aldermen this evening? With no comment, other additional comments, I have no comments as a mayor. Stay warm, be safe out there. That bitter cold is going to stay with us a little bit. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.